Okay, and since our secretary is calling in by phone, our backup secretary is going to be taking the role, Ms. Godfrey.
All right. Ms. Older.
Here.
Mrs. Bell. Here. Mrs. Parker. Here. Mrs. Durr.
Here.
Mrs. Leone.
Here.
Ms. Olson.
Here.
Mr. Scott.
You, Bucky. Hello.
Yes.
Mr. Strobel.
Here.
And Mrs. Thompson.
Here.
Did you hear me?
We did.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So procedures for public participation. If you have a prepared statement to be read to the board, you should have a copy presented to the board president prior to their being addressed. Comments on agenda items will be made by rising and approaching the microphone, stating your name and address, and signing in on the sheet provided. You'll be granted up to 3 minutes to speak to address the board. Your 3-minute time limit will start when you begin to speak. Your 3 minutes are over, you'll be asked to be seated. Any item that is not on the agenda, as well as agenda items acted upon, comments can be made at the designated section at the end of the agenda. And before I ask for a presentation by the public, I just want to point out the consent items and personnel consent items. There is more than just the transportation contract and GPS and cameras. All the same items that we were voted on in the special voting meeting are there. It was discovered actually by a resident that we had only advertised the committee of the whole and not the special voting meeting. So by law, we're just voting on all those items again. So if there's any presentations by the public on agenda items. Is that on? Thank you.
Good evening. First of all, I would like to thank you for postponing the student transportation contract vote to allow more time to review some of the questions raised at the May 9th meeting. Hopefully everyone has been able to get answers to their questions. After reading the proposed contract, I see several items that would concern me. But I would like to point out some inaccurate statements that were made at the Monday meeting. It was stated several times that the contract with Christ would save the district over $1 million over the contract term. After reviewing the price sheet for Christ, I did a comparison with the Klein and New Roads proposal and discovered that if the Pennsylvania Department of Education CPI is at 3% or lower during the contract, the Klein and New Roads contract would cost the district less money than the Christ proposal. I sent a copy of this spreadsheet to all board members this afternoon, and included with that price in comparison is a history of the Pennsylvania Department of Education CPI index showing the 5-year average of CPI at 2.94, 10-year average at 2.15, and 20-year average at 2.32. In fact, the CPI has never been 3% or higher for more than 2 years in a row in the past 20 years. In order for the Christ contract to save the district $1 million, the CPI would need to be 5% or higher during each year for the next 6 years. While no one knows what the CPI will be for the next 6 years, it was completely inaccurate for Mr. Strobel to claim a savings to the district of any amount. My calculations include the anticipated reimbursement and use the same formulas for both the Christ and the Klein and New Roads calculations. On Tuesday morning, I emailed a copy of my reimbursement spreadsheet that is part of these calculations to Ms. Haynes, asking her to review my numbers for accuracy, but unfortunately I received no response. While we also understand there is concern about the New Roads' previous potential sale, we hope that you understand that any business, even Christ, itself pending circumstances at any time. Sometimes those circumstances are unplanned. To say that it is not a possibility at all for any contractor would be untruthful. However, we do not have a history of building our business in order to sell it. Is that the case for Mr. Price? Thank you.
Thank you.
Sally Rhodes again. Some of my comments will mirror Wayne's lines, but I feel as though it's important to hear them as many times as possible. Christ cannot be, some issues we have, or Christ can be penalized for not having enough drivers to start the school year. They are not being held responsible for their performance from July 1st through October 31st. Seriously. How is that fair to parents who depend on busing for their kids and you pay taxes for this service? How is that fair to current contractors who never miss one single run? Price is guaranteed to be paid for 69 buses home to school. First of all, that's way too high. That's a high number. So I don't believe the homework has been done there. Secondly, you basically place them on salary. Because by that I mean you're paying for them for 69 buses daily, whether they use the bus or not for a school run. I personally do the monthly invoicing for the district for new roads. Every day I go into a spreadsheet. For every run that we do, I mark down that we do. When we don't do that run, I don't charge you. Had I known that we could be paid for any vehicle sitting in our lot, I would have done that. But we are honest. And if we're going to salary the new contractor, you should have put that in the RFP. Thirdly, no replacement plan. Buses will be 3 years old or newer to start. Not brand new, as specified how many times? Monday night. Very misleading. Those 3-year-old buses will go into the 4 to 6-year-old category the second year. By the 5th year, all those buses will be in the 7 to 10 category. That needs clarification since we're having the brand new buses shoved down our throats. How many times? Another question is, who's routing for the year? Seems as though the next school year has been omitted from the routing issue. Who's doing that? Do you think they're going to use last year's routing? Well, kids do move up in grades. Was Price informed that they're planning on sending second grade to the AIC and 5th grade in middle school? Or are they delaying that to suit Price also? Page 10B of the contract. Why is the definition crossed out for Pennsylvania Department of Education year of buses? Are you using model year? Because when we bid on it, we use manufacturer date. Page 11E mentions model year as well. Which is it? Make up your mind, model or manufacturer year. Change the requirement for maintenance facility. Why? Because they don't have one?
Time.
Your time has elapsed. I'm just asked you to sit down. Thank you for your comments.
All right, my last point is, you want us to commit to 6 years CPI. You can't even get a load of oil for your house for 1 year. All we ask is that you were honest. We, New Road and Klein, put in a fair, good faith document based on the RFP that was distributed to us. We did that. We can't say that for the other contractor. The bottom line is, if you can't do the job, don't place a bid. And Daniel Boone School Board, don't approve it.
Thank you.
I would like to first thank the board for this opportunity to address you, the administration, and the meeting tonight. I would also like to thank the many past administrations and school board members that my great-grandfather, grandfather, father, and I have worked with since the Daniel Boone Area School District was formed in the mid-1950s. We're proud of the service we've provided and the partnerships that were formed during those years. The Klein and Rhodes families have poured our hearts and souls into serving this community with safe and reliable student transportation services. Over the last year, we have worked tirelessly in negotiations to come to an agreement that was fair to both the district and our companies so that we could continue to serve our community and the district. I'm disheartened by the events of this past week, the lack of integrity in the process, and the thought of no longer providing student transportation services to Daniel Boone Area School District. My dad, Wayne Kahn, and I will work with our employees to help them move forward from this in the most positive way possible, should the board decide to approve the other transportation provider. We will continue to serve the remainder of this contract with the professionalism you have come to know from us. I look forward to continuing to serve our community with our school bus and motor coach charter services and hope to see you on the road with us sometime again soon and for many years to come.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Diane Rose from Douglasville. I had asked a question on Monday night, and I didn't see an answer on the website, but I was still looking at one. And it was regarding the facilities that Christ will be using, where they'll be located, or what, if they can't put the buses on site at either of the schools, where are they going to be, and is that cost figured in on their contract, or is that going to be a separate item in the future under some other, I don't know, another thing like building?
And when we get to there were some answers that we didn't have for people by the time we went to press, so to speak, on the website. So I will get to that when we're done. I will come back. I will circle back and answer any questions that come up that didn't get an answer.
Okay, my question now, since this was just added in, how are the kids getting to school between August and October 31st? And where are the runs? Who is going to do them? Who's going to answer the phone to say that, what bus does my child go on? Or where are they getting on to stop? I mean, it's just like an unknown left out there in space, and there's no answers. So, do you have an answer for that? Or, I mean, I just don't understand.
I got it. Yeah, I will get there.
Okay, and if that is not included in Chris's contract, that they're doing this scheduling, where does that figure fall? Whose cost is that going on to?
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, and if they are somewhere else, if the buses are located at a point somewhere outside the district, is Daniel Boone School District picking up the cost of that fuel to run here?
Yep. Okay.
Because I'm a taxpayer and I'm not real fond of that. Those extra costs add up. Thank you.
You can't hear me?
Because I'm an old man. I'm not being smart.
It's up at It's up as high as it can go. If you wanna lean into the mic, or if you're tall, tip it up. If we put it up higher, we'll try that, but we might get some feedback. So sorry about that in advance.
Thank you.
I know everybody can hear me because I'm loud. Routing for this, did we get that figured out? Routing for the first year, is it going to be?
It'll be input, but you don't have to answer that.
I just wanted to start with the 69 vehicles that.
Oh, I'm sorry, can you just give your name?
I'm sorry.
Can you just give your name?
I'm Tatiana Regner from Dr.
Okay.
I just want to start with the 69 vehicles that are contracted for the price contract. Basically that they're going to get paid some form of compensation whether they run or not. And also hearing and knowing that new roads and fine charge either runs only that are none. That kind of seems like a great business deal for Price, but it does not sound like it's in the best interest of the school district. Also, the no penalty for Price if they can't fulfill the runs for the first 2 months of the school year is not in the best interest of the students and or the school district either. For them to not have a reliable form of transportation to school potentially is concerning. New roads and Klein, for all the main things that you want in the contract, you want a facility in the district, you want buses in the district, you want a fuel tank in the district, you want maintenance facilities in the district, they're already here. And Price is, as far as we know, is a pipe dream. It's what could be, but it's not here. New roads and Klein is starting now. Also, it seems like the only thing that maybe they don't have that Price is saying that they will have are the new buses, and also the name Dave Boone School District on the side of the bus. And both of those things seem pretty petty, considering that all the they have buses, even though they're not brand new. They can get the job done. Also, in 7 years from now, when Price goes to bid for a new contract, they're going to need to replace a whole fleet of buses, not just a few, which is what Kleins and Heroes are used to do this time around. I'd say do not vote for this contract today. I don't think it's in the best interest of the school district or the taxpayers. Heroes and Kleins have always had, and they have proven decades to you that they can fulfill the need of transportation in this community, in this school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Melissa Marquise, 125 West Church Street. First, they were promising new school buses. Do you understand how many contracts they have just picked up? Do you know there's a bus shortage to get a new bus? I have a friend that works for a different company right here in Reading, and she's been waiting 1 year for the new school bus. 1 year. Since you guys said you were going to post the RPFs, never did. Remember you told us you were going to post them on Tuesday?
I'll get to that.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, you said you would post them on Tuesday, so it can be public view, and honestly, if this company was cheaper, why can't you post that? I would have no problem no problem with them if you showed us numbers. That's all we were asking for, was numbers. No problem at all. But something is being hidden since how this all went about, and that's the only reason I'm upset. Anyway. Price is outside district. Doesn't pay taxes like we all do. That's another big thing. And then to put in the contract that he is going to blame all of us bus drivers from Roads and Kleins if we don't go on board with him that we can't your kids can't be picked up. That's not right. He should be held responsible. And he's a big he should be held responsible. He's only in business 6 years. He's partnered with who? American Student. Yes, thank you. Who was funded by their investor 2 years ago. I'm sure you guys all know this, yes? And then that investor, that he partnered with Christ and they funded this company together. 3. They're going to pick up all these contracts. I read all about them. I did my studies. They're going to pick up what they did in Pennsylvania. They're a new company. They are not going to be with you guys forever. They're going to pick it up, get their money, and sell. So who are you going to have in a couple of years from now? 2 years. It's not going to be 3 years because they promise you in 3 years you're going to have new school buses again. Karen, all these contracts, it doesn't add up. I'm sorry. It does not. Think hard, because it's whoever has kids in this district, you're going to be virtual coming this year.
Thank you.
Good evening, Karen Becker, 100 Place, Douglasville. I was here on Monday and really over the last 2 days have been able to give some thought to the challenge you're all faced with. Which faced with, what do we do with money? How do we save money? Where do we save money? I also heard a comment that, well, the taxes are going to have to go up anyway. Okay. Happens. We all know that. However, I also thought about something really hard. And I want you to think about the same thing, please. First off, this is a local company that we have behind us that have dedicated their years to you, including when there was a deficit with the football field, and we all know how important sports are. They stood behind you. I've lived in this community for a long time. I've raised my children and my grandchildren in this community. It's all about local. Some of you graduated from this high school, came back when you were successful to help run this school, and we counted on that. Some of you have stepped up on the board. We counted on that. But if you're new and you're looking for a place to put a business, are you going to really help the tax base on a school in a community that turns their back on one of their biggest employers of our little town? I wouldn't touch it. Some of you have small local businesses. What happened if all of these people decided not to support your business? How would you feel about that? It's about a local thing, and I'm afraid that we're missing something here. We really are. And I'm afraid that this decision now, what looks good, is going to turn out to be a very poor decision later. So please think about what you're investing in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Sydney Alvaro, 96 Weavertown. When asked why not to make the RFP public to the contract, you responded, you didn't have to, but you will because, well, I guess you felt obligated to. When the question was posted online, you posted that response again and said, at the end, one of the vendors didn't put their bid in until 1 p.m. Friday, 5/6/22. But when we found out, Christ reached out to John Coakley to run Daniel Boone Transportation. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jonathan Hester Douglas. One thing I don't hear too much from some people is the community, from the community events from our bus. Remember COVID? Remember the year of graduation? Guess what? We, between New Roads and Klein, we gave 6 buses, 6 drivers, 8 hours for free. 5th grade picnics, don't we do that for free? We do that for free. You will not get that with this other company, I'm sure. That's all.
Thank you. Anyone else? I guess not. Oh, okay, there you go.
I want Keith to get me up here with Sheldon on Main Street. Excuse me. Bus driver, 24 years.
Go, Michelle. Go ahead, Michelle. It's all right. You're all right. Speak from the heart. You're good.
Hot mess. So, I'm also an instructor for New York Transportation. I got the opportunity 17 years ago. And I look at the lot, and who I thought, look at our track record. I've actually got a chance to work with me. Years back, Allison. I'm calm now, I'm sorry. How long does it take? And I didn't know I had this answer, but I'm going to ask for price to get a facility built for you guys. Is there a time frame? Like a maintenance shed or?
Oh,
Is there a time frame to get some of this stuff developed for you? You should go with a company that doesn't have anything ready yet. Is there a time frame in place?
I will.
So now I'm going to talk to you why I actually felt
Yeah.
confident enough to come up. I told you I was an instructor. It's 20-hour quarters, and that's the bare minimum. We've had some new implements happen in February. It takes longer than 14 hours in the classroom to study for a bus driver. I can't get through it all, so I'm now at 16. I say 6 hours behind the wheel. You take I'm not going, I'm going to say it that way. Some people have a very hard time driving Class C, let alone a bus. It takes more than 6 hours behind the wheel. At what point, I saw in the contract, I'm not business like, it said January 1st for Mr. Price to start recruiting drivers. July, thank you much. July 1st. July to August is what you got. And there's a holiday in there, so God love us. The MDs are closed, I'm just saying the truth. People go away. You're not going to get drivers. You're not going to get new drivers. They're not going to, it's not going to happen. It takes me 30-some days to get a driver license for this company. And I am on them. My man, where you at? Constantly, or whoever it is. I don't know who I trained here. They know who I am.
I'll vouch for Michelle.
It's a long time to get someone out. Now, you've got to enter all this. You don't get to pick your test date. They tell you it's not going to happen. You're not going to have drivers. From July to the end, it's not going to happen. Not with the amount of people that think they're moving on to other contractors, where they're not returning, going to retire. I don't even have my decision yet what I'm going to do. But we're not going to have them ready.
Thank you. Thank you.
You understand how I just spoke there, and that's my bread and butter. You're not going to have them ready, I spoke that for the district. not from my pocket. And that with all respect. I was born and raised Steve Rhodes, period. But he could give the shirt off his back for every one of these employees.
Thank you.
Hi, Mary Miller from Water Street in Birdsboro. In light of what Michelle just said, I didn't know that July 1st, they're going to start recruiting drivers. Do you all know that the two students that I drive go back to school July 6th? They do not wait till next year. They have ESY all summer long. Who's going to take those kids? I'll tell you, I drive those kids to Hershey twice a day, every day. Love the boys like they're my own. Treat them like they're my own. Their moms could not be here today for obvious reasons, because the boys will not sit through a meeting. I would like to know personally, because I'm invested in these boys. I've only driven them a year. Who's going to drive those boys to Hershey and back twice a day from July 6th until whenever Mr. Price can get a driver to take them? Who's going to take them?
Thank you.
I keep hearing this word about this price of guaranteeing 59 buses or whatever, or, I've heard that the other night, the bus thing, and they're all going to be under 3 years old. Did I hear that right? The ones they're going to supply down here, or is all the buses they have in their whole outfit, maybe they have 100 buses and only 3 out of 59 are under 3 years old. Are they guaranteed they're going to come down here, or are we going to get just partial of that, and some other ones that are 15 years old, Is that in writing anywhere, or is it just out in the sky somewhere? Nobody answered that question. Does anybody know?
I'll get to it.
Does anybody talk?
I don't.
here?
I know, but I'll get to it when we're done.
Does anybody talk here? The other night, you're the only one that talked, you talked, and she talked. Anybody else is like?
I talk.
Yeah, you
I
did a
talk.
little bit, but nobody really talks. Are these all board- are
The
you all board
public
members?
comment period is your time.
What's
Yeah,
that?
we're not supposed to talk during your 3 minutes. That's
Yeah.
the deal.
Okay, are you all board members?
Yeah.
Yes or no? Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Have you been on the board for 3-4 years? Yes or no? Okay, all right. 3 or 4 years ago, all janitors disappeared before a new contract came in. And then all lunch people disappeared for a new contract coming in. And then the grass and maintenance people all came in, new people came in to cut the grass. And I know several teachers who were in 2 to 3 different schools, and they say the sanitation is poor, the lunch is subpar, and the grass and landscape is less than appealing. Now, if you're all board members that voted on that, is this what your legacy is going to be? You get rid of people? Is that it? And now with the bus drivers, you do the same thing? Just a question, that's all.
Manchester, 1704 Weavertown Road. My father-in-law was a Montgomery County, was a Navy veteran. He had his own machine shop. And he always told me to buy local, support local. And I know he was a good man because some lean times when the machine shop didn't have enough money, the employees were paid. But he didn't have, his family wasn't paid. And all I have to say is if you're going to cut this, cut that, some of the high rollers in the district, just cut them next. And the supervisors down, whoever it is.
Anyone else? Okay, there will be another comment period at the end of the meeting.
They have to,
Oh, okay, I apologize. Is she the one that's going to speak? Okay, because I was going to say, you can give her the mic if it's for her. Just saying.
My name is Christine Clapperty. I am a current...
Can you pull the mic
We
closer
can't
to
hear
you?
you.
Is that
Better. Yeah, it is better. I apologize.
It's okay. I'm a current graduate from here. Michelle was actually my bus driver.
mine too.
And we love roads and climbs. I don't understand why they have to go out through another district and get like crowds. Like, we trust roads and climbs. Like, my kids love them. They're reliable, they're easygoing, they get to you. There's an issue, but I don't understand like why you have to change. Everything is going well. I just want to say that we love roads and climbs. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Because she is on my bus. What do we do for everybody's birthday? Huh? The whole bus sings happy birthday. I make sure of that, right? Yes. So everyone feels special on their birthday.
I love her hair. Hi.
Hi, Maureen Edelman. I tried to impose my thoughts on Monday and lost my train of thought, so
All good.
I did not plan to speak. The information, I believe her name was Michelle, brought up about the training period, and possibly multiple people have brought up perhaps not possibly being able to be covered. I'm just saying, with all due respect, I have 3 young children. I'm not going anywhere. I'm in those schools, at least the little ones right now, and eventually those bigger schools regularly. I stay at home mom, and if I have a bee in my bonnet, you will hear from me regularly. I am not going anywhere. That's all I would say.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you, everyone. Oh, I apologize. You might have to tip it back up again for you. Sorry.
I've been with New Burns for 14 years now. I raised my son on that school bus. He went to school with me every day. If I needed time off, he covered for me. If any of us needed time off, if it came to Sally, Steve, whoever it was in that room covering for us, they did that. I am so indebted, so grateful to these people because they care. They care about us and our families. I don't see that happening with this bigger company. I love this small town. I've grown up and I've lived here since I was 2 years old. I don't want to walk away from it, but if this is the district that I'm living in, I will. I will sell the house that I inherited from my mother. I need to be in a small town where everybody cares about each other. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. I know there will be another comment period at the end of the meeting.
Prior to the vote or no?
No.
Okay, then I would like to speak.
Oh, we'll have a chance to discuss. We will have a chance to discuss because I'm going to answer questions.
Then I will be quiet.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, moving on to the consent items. So, 1 through 3 aren't related to transportation. So, if we could take 2A, 1 through 3. Get a motion to vote for those.
Motion.
Ms. Bell, do I have a second? Mr. Jurick, any discussion? It's the same ones from Monday. Again, that millage is the maximum that we are allowed to put it at, starting July 1. Doesn't mean we're going to be there. It's just, this is our vote to allow the budget to have its 30 days for review before we have our actual budget that is passed before the middle of June. Any comments, questions, concerns on those 3 items? Oh. Yeah, wait. Sorry, I lost my vice president. Okay, if there are no comments, questions from the board, we can have a vote. Ms. Godfrey.
Mr. Scott.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Albright.
It's the budget and the tax collection bill and transportation. No.
Yes.
Mr. Shirley.
Yes.
Mrs. Bell. Yes. Ms. Lehman. Yes. Mrs. Hubbard. Yes. Mr. Drury.
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson. Yes. Ms. Olson.
Yes. Motion passes. So we're going to take 4 on its own to start. 2A4, can I get a motion for the transportation? And then we can discuss. Motion, Mr. Jurick. Can I get a second? Ms. Thompson. Okay. So, let me ask. Is there anything on that list that you'd think that you would like to address now before I start addressing things?
You can address them and then we'll
talk.
Fill it in, and we have Price here if we need to.
Okay. All right. So, as to the RFP, there was so what I thought people were asking to see was an original request for proposal, which was the RFP that we put out, not the proposals that companies put in for us. Those are in notebooks that we have. The way the RFP process works is we put out a request for proposal. We get our proposals back. It's a slightly more open process than sealed bid, where companies can ask us questions. We can refine what we're asking. If there's a question that's asked by one company, we share that information with the other company. We can't answer questions like, well, how far apart are our bids? Or, well, what's their numbers look like? But if you're asking a question about how we're fulfilling the proposal, how we're fulfilling the request, those questions can be answered and they're shared with each company. So I thought what people were looking for was a copy of the request for proposal, which was on our website for close to 3 months. And the reason we didn't post it back up is because I was told that, and it's not an unfounded problem. We didn't want to put it back up and have people think it was an actual bid that you could post, an actual RFP that you could bid on anymore, because it's closed. So it shouldn't be on our website for people to review, because we're not accepting any more proposals at this time. So that was my misunderstanding about the process, but I do think it makes sense why it was done that way. But it was on our website for 3 months before we took it down, because we put the RFP up with a deadline of, I think, the end of January, and we received bids, at least one from Rhodes and Klein. Then we rejected, proposal. and we rejected all those proposals. We put the request for proposal out again, and it was out, and the expiration date on it, I believe, was March 15th. And then we received the bids from at least the two contenders that we're talking about today, New Roads and Klein and Price Transportation. We left those items we discussed, there were meetings with both companies during that time period. And we allowed companies to revise their proposals up until, as we said, the 11th hour, up until the end of the day, like the middle of the workday on Friday, the 6th. But at that point, neither company knew what the numbers from the other company was, so that's why that wasn't public. I did want to point out something. I did review the numbers that Mr. Klein sent to us. One thing I did want to point out with them is his numbers don't include the $11.03 a day for each bus for 180 days that we would need to pay for them to provide routing service for us, which adds about $136,000 a year to their price tag, and which makes it so that since adding the routing service doesn't change the reimbursement that we get from the feds, we would get the same reimbursement from the feds, and the price for transportation from New Roads and Klein would be $1.8 and change million, which is still a little over $500,000 more than the other company over the 6 years. Not including the fact that the proposal that you sent us has a CPI for each year, an increase of 3% for each year, when you have asked to put in the contract a cap of the top of the CPI being 6%. I don't know if you fully believe that it was going to be 3% every year. I don't know why that's not the way you wrote it in your contract proposal.
I wrote that as an example.
Understand, but if it were higher, it would be even more. I mean, even the numbers you provided us, if you had included the routing as we had requested in the RFP, you would be a little over $500,000 more for the 6 years.
That was why I also included the CPI history to show that
I understand.
The average is under 3.
I understand, absolutely. But I'm just saying that the numbers were not comparing apples to apples. But
two things that point out was is that the comparison changed, which you used Mr. Klein's sheet. All she did was make changes
right.
From 180.
Oh, that's right.
And 178. We changed. You added the $11.03, and then per bus, so he could take his own sheet and do it. Come up with $515,000.
Yep.
At 3%, it was still higher. And the 1.5, the 1.12 that you say I'm lying about, put yours in at 4.5, which I clearly put on my sheet at 4.5. You felt that might be an average, being we're at 8.5 now. So we have no idea. You built 6, you put 4.5 in there. We aged the buses much quicker than we should have with the other one. And it was 1.12. It wasn't a lie, and that's the number. If you do the math in your own sheet, not our sheet, your own sheet, put it at 4.5, and you see that it wasn't on the data. It was out there. So we used your sheet. We didn't use our sheet.
But there was no explanation that the CPI was a factor there. You said $1 million more, and CPI makes a big difference.
I did mention it.
Right. And so the things that you're bringing up, they're all valid to me anyway. They're all valid points. Where the bus is going to park, where's Christ going to procure and put their fuel tanks? What if they can't hire enough drivers? Are they going to be able to train the drivers in time? These are all things that I think we, as a prospective client, need to be concerned about, as does the community. But to comment on that, these are unknowns that we are taking a risk on, I suppose, in the first year of the contract. The company is assured their negotiating partners within the district that they can deliver. I know you don't believe that, but with the caveat that they have requested the first 2.5 months of the contract be considered like a startup period where we're not going to consider them to be breach of contract due to any shortage of drivers within their company. With the exception of that bit of information, you can think that's wrong if you want, but it's not unusual. Other than that instance, all the other unknowns that you've mentioned tonight, the district is financially protected in this contract, and the onus is on the vendor to deliver appropriate services for the costs spelled out in the contract. There are also unknowns and uncertainties in the proposed contract with Roads and Klein. The key point there is all that uncertainty is in cost in providing service going forward is shunted back to the school district and the taxpayers. A floating year-to-year increase ranging from 2.5 to 6% pegged to the consumer price index, which is currently sitting at 8.3 for April 2022, with increases starting in year 2 of the contract, where Chris's proposal holds the same costs for the first 2 years, and then do a flat 3.5 increase starting in year 3. A $50 a bus per day surcharge whenever the air conditioning is used on one of your buses. When we pay for the fuel, stipulation, if any statute, regulation, etc. is enacted that increases the bus company's costs, that the contract will automatically be renegotiated so the district can cover those costs, and Chris's proposal has no such provision. Roads and Klein's proposal spells out several times that several other items that were priced out a la carte. And so any fair compensation comparison, as we just found out, between the two providers also needs to add those items into the calculation. The following 2 items weren't included in the per bus per day cost for Christ. The routing service for $11.03 per bus per day, as we discussed. The other thing, which I don't understand why, but Roads and Klein, their final proposal to us asked us to omit the requirement for a performance bond for the company. And if we wanted to have a performance bond, we had to additionally pay another $8.83 per bus per day for every year of the contract. I'm not saying that a negotiation and a bit of horse trading is wrong. These were things that the company didn't want to. Some of these things are things that we would have liked some movement on that the company was not willing to budge on.
You did come back and ask us for. What are the things you changed?
We went back 7 times to the company for different reasons.
Prices exception.
Okay, so those are the things that I wanted to say. So I'm going to throw it to the other board members.
I would just...
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, Mr.
clarify the one issue.
Mr. Sievers.
In regard to the issue of the initial startup period, the limitation on Christ being declared a breach of contract for failure to recruit and hire drivers is limited to the extent that would be caused by the retention of drivers by the current transportation service providers. But more importantly, Christ is still responsible for the cost of those services. The district reserves the right to secure substitute services at or above the Christ price, and Christ is responsible for those costs. So that's, I just wanted to clarify that.
And my understanding is that any additional costs accrued by having to have longer travel time or bus drivers that have to drive a little bit further because they're based in another area, that also would be accrued by, that also would be Chris's cost, not ours. And that was several questions that were asked about that.
On the issue of the number of vehicles, the district reserves the right to reduce the number of vehicles for declining pupil enrollment school closures were to maximize the school district's reimbursement subsidy from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So the district reserves the right to reduce the number of vehicles under this contract.
So that would reduce the number of vehicles to 69, or are they going to get still like 35% of that?
No, that just reduces the number of vehicles covered by the contract.
Covered by the contract, but would they get?
No, they were not for those vehicles,
They wouldn't
not for
get
those
35%.
vehicles.
And how much longer will the
So-
funds be, or do you allow?
Ms. Albright had some comments that she wanted to make, I know.
The other thing is.
Okay, Mr. Sherman?
At the end of the day, I mean, I pretty much met most of the negotiations, even if they were in person, multiple conversations. We did negotiations over 7 times, with Klein Roads, versus the other bidder. And so it was really difficult because we for a really long time. And this really comes down to not a small mathematics problem, it's a large mathematics problem. And it's a challenge because then we're basically as a board to either say, okay, we spend $1.2 million, yeah, we don't know it's $1.2 million. CPI stays up, we're in trouble, it's over $2 million. I did the math, only because I want to make sure I'm making an informed decision. Just like I took Mr. Klein's proposal and I looked at it and I realized that there was 2 really large mistakes. We didn't put the $50 for air in there. So if anybody's worried 1 bus, 5 buses, 10 buses for there, it's not even in here. It's not even added.
That never gets.
So that was a line item. That was a line item in the budget. That was in the proposal from them. The biggest one for me was the fact that we were going to be responsible for business expenses that they might incur as a result of the government making changes and things of that nature. The other company, we're not responsible for any of that. And that's a huge unknown on top of the other huge unknown of CPI. And so trying to be as fair as possible to try and make it, that did the 3%, it's still higher. So, and it could have an upside of more than $1.5 million higher. And I'm not prepared to sit down and go, what program I'm going to cut for these children? Because I want to choose a local bus company who decided to keep their proposal at the levels that they did. I'm not accusing them of doing anything wrong. I'm not saying, hey, you should have done that. There was a race. That race in terms of the money. And it was a large deficit. So I really feel like we've taken a lot of due diligence to try to be as fair as possible. But it was hard for me when I sat down and looked at this to go, am I going to cut music? To cut sports? What should we cut? When we try to balance our budget, because our budget, for those on the board here, you know what the budget is like. It's a challenge to try and make all this work, especially with all the increases that are coming at us over these next couple of years.
But for the first
These
2
next
months,
couple of years are really difficult for us to make budgets. And so I appreciate everything that they've said, everything they do. I empathize with all the bus drivers that made comments here tonight. I really do. It's hard for me that big of a difference.
This is not, you'll get time to talk at the end, so, that's the rules. So do you guys have, any, did you have any, yeah, go ahead.
I'm still waiting. It's fine.
Take your time.
Okay. All right. So, believe it or not, I've spent many hours reviewing this on my own time. And that is what I was prepared to do. So I'm not complaining, I'm just letting you know I don't take this lightly at all. I think there are so many unknowns that I am so uncomfortable with not being able to get an answer to. And while people may tell me that I just don't know what I'm talking about because this is not what I do for a living. I'm a teacher, teach elementary school, deal with bus drivers every day, not in this district. I don't like that I don't know where the buses are going to be stored. I don't like that I don't know how many buses there's going to be. I don't like that I don't know. I mean, if people can't get formula, how are we going to get a damn bus? I don't like that all the bus drivers that I love probably aren't going to want to jump to a new company. I don't like the fact that the company has a history of flipping. I don't like the fact that there are so many questions I can't get answered. And here's the thing. I do not have a problem being the odd one out. I don't. I never have. Don't care. Don't. Please don't. I'm not. I don't care about being the odd one out. I don't care about being liked. Never have, never will. It doesn't matter to me. I've spent my whole life doing that. And I will tell you, I'm not a numbers person. I'm not Kevin. Kudos to you for being able to figure out numbers. I got you, right? It's not my thing. I only have to count to 20 in second grade. I'm good. But I will tell you what I am. I'm loyal. I'm a people person, or at least I used to be. And I sweat my kids hard. I have 4 of them, and I would have done anything to be a stay-at-home mom with them my life. And that is none of your problems. I just needed to marry for money instead, and I didn't. But I'll tell you, every day I put those kids on the bus, I don't think twice about them getting there or that something's going to happen to them. And I'll tell you one thing, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do in August when that bus doesn't come and I have to get to work because I have to work. And that is my biggest fear. And you can say, oh, I can't believe you put your kids on an old bus. I don't care about the buses. I'll tell you what, if Melissa was driving an old bus and it broke down, she'd put my kid on her back and carry her to my house. You can go tell all of your friends that, I'm all for, I want to raise their taxes by spending more for a company that I know. Feel free, go ahead. It doesn't matter because I want to go with what I know, what I trust, and if it ain't broke, you don't fix it.
Anyone else want to further have or ask any questions?
Julia. So to kind of piggyback off of what Mrs. Albright has said, I put my kid on the bus every day too. And my kid always gets to school. And he is happy on that bus. And I guess the biggest problem for me is that I had 0 time to review any of this. I work in a school as well, I'm a behavior specialist at a special needs school. And so, at the same as Deb, I'm gone before he even gets on the bus. I get home after he gets off the bus. And that's going to lay on my husband to drive him to school every day if those buses don't show up. There are a lot of unknowns. And I didn't have the time. I had about 30 minutes before this meeting to be able to look over stuff. I'm not on the facilities committee, so I did not know some of this information until Friday. And I honestly cannot vote yes to a vote if I can't see all the information. What's the cost for option A? My son's bus makes it to school every day, and it might be an old bus, it might not. But I would have loved to have been able to see option
A. Anyone else? Thank you. Are we ready for a vote?
I thought we were going to have time to comment.
After the vote. That's the way this works. That's what I said. Did I not say that?
You're correct. We had public comment.
Now?
Didn't have public comment.
Yeah, okay.
We didn't have it after the vote.
All right.
Yeah.
Is there any more board discussion? We'll go ahead and have a vote.
Mr. Scott.
Bucky.
Mr. Scott, you're up.
You there, Bucky?
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's hard to hear. You asked me for my vote?
Yes.
Yes. I'm giving you a yes.
Ms. Albright.
No.
Mr. Strobel.
Yes.
Ms. Bell.
Yes.
Ms. Leoni.
No.
Ms. Dockery, yes. Mr. Jurd.
Yes.
Ms. Thompson.
No.
Ms. Olson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
6 yeses, motion passes. So we're going to be moving on to number 5, 2A5. Do I have a motion for that? Mr. Jurek, do I have a second?
Ridiculous.
Mr. Jurek was the first, Ms. Bell was the second? Any comments, concerns?
Sleep at night.
This was discussed at the Facilities and Transportation Committee. Does any, so I heard Ms. Leone say that she didn't know too many of the details, so I'm going to ask Ms. Haynes to give a few of the details on the GPS. No, I understand. I just wanted her to say, before we vote, I just want to make sure, go ahead, you know, what the program is for.
Oh, the bus patrol is for all the GPS, the cameras, and then there's an arm that goes out and the cameras are on the side of the bus. So the program is it goes hand in hand with the bus contract, and they're gonna have the British schools based on this. But there's tickets that people get when they pass by the bus, and that revenue comes back to the district. The gentleman, when I think there's a $9,000 worth of technical, computerized, all the technology, the actual equipment that goes with all the buses, that goes with every bus. You have to get one fine-tuned on that. But the amount of revenue that comes back to the district actually exceeds that. All people that pass by, they'll get a ticket, and then we can go to. Does that make sense?
So this isn't included in the contract?
It's a separate company.
It's a separate company, but when they find a violation, they half the fine comes to the school district, and the other half goes to the local municipality. So in Union Township, it would go to the state police, I guess, and in the borough, it would go to the borough police, and in Amity, it would go to the Amity police. Yeah, it's not included, and the reason I was pointing that out is that in her surveying of the companies within Pennsylvania that are already using it, none of them have had to put out a dime for the.
That information is here, so I can read it.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that was there. So, yeah, they're getting that much back with the fines they're collecting. Any questions for Ms. Haynes before we vote on that one? Ms. Godfrey? Mr. Scott, you're up again.
You there, Bucky?
Yeah, sorry. Yes.
Ms. Albright? Yes. Mr. Strobel?
Yeah.
Ms. Bell? Yes. Ms. Leone? Mrs. Godfrey, yes. Mr. Jurek?
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Olson?
Yes. Okay. Last thing on this agenda, and then we'll move on to public comment. 3A111. Do I have a motion for that under personnel consent? Mr. Strobel, Mr. Jurek seconds. Any comments, questions, concerns from the board? Can we have a vote?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I know you were writing down what we're doing.
I'm sorry, I didn't second.
What? Oh, okay. Mr. Strobel, Mr. Jurek.
All right. Mrs. Albright? Yes. Mrs. Bell? Yes. Mrs. Godfrey, yes. Mrs. Jurek?
Yes.
Ms. Leone?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Bucky, your
Yeah.
vote?
Yeah, he knows.
Yes.
Yes.
I heard that.
Okay.
Yes.
And Ms. Olson?
Yes. So it's not on the agenda because the last time we did this, we had a second whole meeting after it. So I asked people to hold their public comment until that meeting. But this is our time for public comment at the end of the meeting. So if anybody has any public comment? Okay, seeing none. This was hard. You know, I mean, I don't spend a lot of time. Well, when I was younger, I guess I did, but I don't spend a lot of time telling people please try to put yourself in my shoes, because nobody cares how my shoes fit. You know, that's my experience. If you're asking somebody to put themselves in your shoes, they don't care how you feel. And that's fine, that's what I signed up for. And that's unfortunately what all of us signed up for up here on this not a stage up here. That's all I want to say. It was difficult. I don't know how difficult it was. It sounded like it was difficult for every one of our board members. So I want to thank them for putting the time in. We put a lot more time individually into evaluating this proposal than all of us have. Somebody out there had mentioned when we outsourced the nutrition inc., when we outsourced custodial and maintenance, and those were hard too, but none of us were here for that, and that was, I'm sure that was hard for those board members. And being up here right now, I have a little bit more of a sympathy for, especially one former President Rathgeb that I took to task after we outsourced one set of folks. I have a mind to call him and tell him I'm sorry for giving him such a hard time at that time. But that's all I wanted to say. So, any other board members have any closing comments? Oh yeah, yeah. Come on up.
I appreciate the challenge you all have.
Oh, I wasn't being all woe is me. Yeah. Okay.
Not just you.
Okay.
Not just you.
Okay.
Every one of you. I appreciate your challenge. But what I did hear several times is uncertainty. It's signed, sealed, and delivered. You got it. Great. Okay? Wonderful. However, the other night it was over $1 million difference, whatever. What I'm going to say is what I've heard, uncertainty. There was uncertainty on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
But what I heard that stands out so significant. And I've been in this community, you just haven't heard much of me. I just sit back and watch. Just so you know, I'm not new to it.
No, yeah.
But you voted tonight on an uncertainty that you know nothing about. You voted tonight not on an uncertainty that you can probably knock on their door and work with them. You voted on an uncertainty, on a complete unknown. I can only hope that sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And I hope that tonight you were lucky, because I don't know how this is going to fare out. And I wish you all well. But who here is going to pick up the children when they're not being picked up? You voted on uncertainty, and you chose a group that you know nothing truly about other than what you've read and a few meetings. That's all. I realize it was hard. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks.
Yep, go ahead.
I have a couple comments I would like to make.
Yeah, just first name.
Daniel.
Okay.
You know, I'm a former student in this school district. Miss Michelle was my bus driver from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. You guys just voted her out of a job. Now, you're going to go with this new company. Okay. What about the athletes that put in the time and the effort to perform for the parents, for the grandparents, for colleges to have the chance? What are you guys going to do when this new bus company can't show up on time to take them to a game? And then, you know, July 1st, I guess they're going to have drivers or not drivers. So what are you guys going to be doing come the beginning of the school year when all of our bus drivers are out of the job now? Because you guys voted not to renew a contract with Climate Insurance. Shame on you guys.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? Anything else from the board before I ask for a motion to adjourn?
I just,
Okay.
yep, one more thing.
Yep.
I gotta have the last word.
Absolutely.
I truly pray that I am wrong and 6 of you can come back to me in the fall and say I told you so.
I think that's fine, because I never say I told you so. Because then that gives people the right to say I told you so to me, and I don't like it. So, got a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Mr. Jurick, do I have a second? Ms. Albright, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming out this Thursday.